like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So many incredible, strange things that have happened in life, in the world in general. We live in incredible, strange times. And I think one of the strangest things is how much I enjoy Star Trek Strange New Worlds and how much I'm not enjoying the third season of The Overworld. Now, why am I mentioning these two things that have nothing to do with Westworld? Because Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the people who make it. Alex Kurtzman is the head of the production company. This isn't their first Star Trek they've done, and they've all, generally speaking, been, how would I describe them, unwatchably bad and having no connection to Star Trek whatsoever, right? However, The Orville, which is basically a Star Trek ripoff made by Seth MacFarlane, has always been very good, right? Very, very good. The roles have changed this year. It's very, very odd and very, very unexpected. Nothing is more unexpected than Westworld, however, right? That first season, brilliant, sizzling. We all adored it, right? That's it. It was as close as you get to a perfect first season. Second season, I think most feel it fell apart. I felt it fell apart. I think the fundamental problem with that, it was being written during the era of Me Too. And it did kind of lean into that. You had the whole Dolores plot of taking revenge on humans, and it did somewhat lean into that, but it's still, I think to be really to do effective drama, you need to be creatively free. And when you're have an overriding message that you want to scream out to people, you're not creatively free. And I think that series season really suffered from it. And a lot of people just like, I'm out, leave me alone. Series 3, fantastic, overly complicated, and my general criticism of Westworld is it's way too impressed with its own intelligence, right? It's way too it's a way too much of Westworld. Frankly, I think the themes that it was talking about were explored better in Raised by Wolves, which is fantastic, and I'm brokenhearted. It's not getting a third season. I hope somebody else picks it up. It's absolutely fantastic. I love this idea of artificial life and like understanding what life is through artificial life, right? And which is essentially what Westworld is. So they had a third season, and it ended on, it came up to a big revolutionary moment. And then the fourth season, it was like, started. I was like, oh, okay, fine. I just got to wade through this, and I'll do snarky reviews each week. Then the episode 2 happened, and oh my god, it's fantastic. Now they're telling me what the plot is. I am on the edge of my seat. I am so up for this, right? I'm so up for this. So this video, I do a deep dive review of the episode, completely spoiled, right? Completely spoiled. But also I give you a primer so anybody can start watching it, right? Because it's so complicated. It's so insanely complicated. But I try and give you a primer so you can start watching it and enjoying it, because if it maintains the quality and goes in the direction that we've seen from this episode, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And that would mean it would really change what Westworld is, the legacy of Westworld. We'd have a much stronger 4 seasons, right? I mean, if I would then go back and watch the entire run of all 4 seasons. And again, there's a lot of money and prestige like dripping out of it. I don't think it really helps it, to be honest. But anyway, that being said, fantastic episode, really fantastic episode, fantastic scripting. I'm really excited to see where it goes next. Like, share, subscribe, all those things are great. Sign up my Substack, sign up my paid Substack, all those things are fantastic. Thank you very much. I am insanely grateful. Now, let me hand over to me from last night as we try to walk you through the maze. I used to use that word pointedly. Walk you through the maze that is Westworld. The entirety of Westworld, so you understand it, so you can watch this. And then we're going to do the episode because it's really very good. I'm cutting out a lot, right? A lot, right? I'm telling you just what you need to know because there's so much. It's very, very clever show. It is a clever. It's often weighed down by it being too impressed with itself, right? It really is. It's often weighed down with its own sense of. It's so good. It's so clever, which doesn't help it. So the first season, it starts off, this is one of the central characters, Dolores. Westworld is an amusement park. Oh, hey, Missy, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. WestWorld is an amusement park where very, very rich people go, and they get to role play. They're in, the West, right? And eventually, it's a real life game, right? And the robots there play the game. So these robots are, firstly, they are abused over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? Murdered and raped over and over again, basically for the guests' amusement. But because the robots are so incredibly sophisticated, they're self-aware. Like they become self-aware. So this is the first one who becomes self-aware. Her name's Dolores, and it leads to this insane uprising in Westworld. That basically that's where the first season ends in Westworld. And there's a few other. There's Westworld. There's Japanese world or sort of samurai world. But the thing they're very, very concerned on all the time is loops. Everybody is in their own loop. Every character is in their own loop, right? And so they're trying to break out of their loop. And it becomes apparent humanity is in a loop as well, right? So the other main character is the Man in Black, right? The Man in Black, he's basically a villain. He's raped Dolores like a gazillion million times, right? He does that over and over and over again, right? Because he comes there like he's the owner of Westworld. He became the owner of it. He married into the family that owned it called Delos. So in the first season, you have a dual story: one about this bloke, one about this bloke. He's bad, he's good, right? So this is William. It's his first visit to Westworld, and he hooks up with Dolores, right? And they go on this big long adventure, and he's like puts out he looks after, he basically falls in love with Dolores, and he find out at the end that he is also him. This is him like 20 years later, right? After playing the loop so many times. So I think he's trying to find a way to break her out the loop. I think maybe, right? I'm not sure. But anyway, so the second season isn't as good. The second season was done in the midst of Me Too. And it is about the Robot Uprising. It's a very complicated and not very clear. But essentially what happens is most of the hosts, they called hosts the robots, end up in this virtual world called I can't remember, the Abyss or something. At the end of it, and they're living out a virtual life. A few people make it. They massacre a bunch of guests. A few people make it out of Westworld. One of them is Dolores, and she's got 4 marbles of that have. Each of the hosts is a dip personality is one of those marbles. You don't know who those marbles is. Another character who you see a lot is Sandy Newton. She is brilliant in this. She is brilliant beyond brilliant. So she plays in Westworld. She's a robot. She's one of the hosts. She plays one of the. She is the madam, right? The brothel keeper in Westworld, and she breaks. So you have Dolores, who is being broken into sentience by her creator, which is what's his name, Hannibal Lecter, whatever, right? But she breaks herself into sentience. So this is a whole different guy. She is the most wonderful character. Like she is so insanely clever. And in the first season, like she wakes up in the repair room, and she gets control over the a couple of engineers and turns her intelligence up to maximum, right? And she's her own agent. She also makes it out of Westworld. She's rescued, and you find out why later. And so she comes into the real world. Who else? As does Dolores. That's basically what season 3 is about. So season 3 is interesting. Season 3 is much better than season 2. So season 2 ends with the Man in Black being conned into shooting his own daughter, thinking it was a host version of her, and he ends up in this virtual reality, and he's living there like in a hell over and over and over and over again. There's a little post-credit scene from like hundreds, maybe thousands of years in the future, he gets woken up, and they're trying to work out how accurate a copy of him he is, right? So you have that going on. That's interesting. But the third season, right? The third season is all about Dolores has decided she wants to save humanity, because humanity is also in loops, right? And that's really true of everyday life, right? And a lot of stuff, but it's heightened in Westworld. So anyway, in the third season, after she's broken out, she hooks up with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, right? Who's like, and so you get a really interesting look at the world. He's like a lower class guy, and there's this giant AI thing that controls everything that has decided he's going to kill himself. And so you get very controlled, right? So the whole season, the other player is Georgina Hell, played by Tessa Thompson. She played one character fits all for Tessa, right? She could do one role and that's it. So she's playing it like that. She's like this executive at the company that owns Westworld, and so it turns out, basically by the end of it, you find out that she's also she's been killed and replaced by a robot. And you find out who those four marbles are. Those four marbles are copies of Dolores, right? So she is a robot with a copy of Dolores in there, and it's kind of a mental one at that. So the more she was human, hung out with her husband and kid, the more that they became that she mutated into its own being, right? It's really, really easy, right? Oh man, I'm watching Vengeance on Varos right now. I'm going to talk. Remind me to talk about after this. I'm going to give you a quick review of Vengeance on Varos. Sorry for the sideways thing. Remind me of this, right? Remind me of this. I'm really enjoying that season 2023 box set. It's freaking awesome. I watch it every night. Anyway, I digress. So she was somebody tried to kill her. And she like survived, which is very bitter. So she's kind of mental, right? She's completely mental. And then this was a character from season 1 who ended up being killed, who was one of the prostitutes in the brothel. Yes, this is why I would have gone to Westworld. Absolutely, it's stunningly beautiful. So that's everybody needs to know. So basically, at the end of season 3, right? So the season 3 is essentially a battle between, Dolores and Dolores. This is one side. Dolores, Aaron Paul, and Tessa Thompson. Right, they're on one side. And they want to bring humanity out of their loops, right? And on the other side, you have the people who own the AI that control the world, and they're using Thandie Newton as their AI assassin, right? And so it's a titanic fight against the two. Eventually, they team up, and the humanity gets emailed all the information that this AI has on them, right? Causing society to break down into like tribalistic warfare, and then Aaron Paul shuts it down. Dolores is apparently killed, right? And that's where season 3 ends, right? So season 4 started as I would say a reasonably boring episode. We'll change to this. Doink. Season 4 started. It was like several years later. Aaron Paul was now married with a kid. He had PTSD. There was a war that happened. Society got back together again. And there's something weird going on with the robots. Robots are banned if they so any that exists are in in hiding. Dolores is still alive, but seemingly in a weird other reality. I think she's in a virtual world. And the Man in Black is going around viciously murdering anybody who gets in the way. He's got an agenda. At the end of it, he said seconds he said he's going to destroy all the robots, right? And then he was in a post-credit scene. Oh, there's a couple of post-credit scenes I should tell you about. In a post-credit scene, he meets Georgina Hell, Tessa Thompson, and a robot version of him. And he sees his throat slit and he's seemingly killed, right? But now he's back and he's like badass. So he wants control of this data facility. I assume that's the data facility where all the robots from ended up from in Westworld, and is where Dolores is. But it starts off. You see, this show is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it really. Thank God, this is an engaging episode. It's not a boring episode. It really brought me on. But this is somewhere in Milan or Italy. Look at it; it's gorgeous, absolutely stunning. And in a market, we have somebody walking down, and you realize it's one of the hosts. So she must be in hiding. She goes home, walks in, and the Man in Black is there. So he's like a billionaire. He owns a company that has that Westworld. They had to shut it down because of the massacre there, right? But he's on a thing trying to get all the hosts. So he sees they fight a little bit, they scuffle, and slits her throat. Meanwhile, they came after Thandie Newton last week, and she was living off the grid. So he hooks up with Aaron Paul, and they're hunting. They're hunting the Man in Black. They're hunting because he's after them, right? So they have a lead. They go there, and he's talking about how he he loves his wife and kid, and that's basically what the matter. So they go to this place where they have a lead. It's where a senator is. She walks in, and the senator's there. Said, "Oh, hi, you must be one of Anastasia's friends, right?" And she turns up and said, "Who are you? What's going on?" He turns out and pulls guns on them. They pull a gun on them, and then all of a sudden, bam! She just shoots him. He's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "They're both robots, right? They're both robots." They get up, and there's a great fight scene, right? She fights him. Now, Thandie Newton, she has the ability to control all other robots, right? So she's like, stop all motor functions, but it doesn't work. So they've had some upgrades. So again, I can't tell you how good Thandie Newton is in this. She's a fantastic action hero. She does that really well. And she again plays it smart. She's sexy. I mean, she is everything. She is great. She would have been. Would she have been in Good Doctor Who? I think bit too much edge, right? A good master maybe, right? But yeah, she is fantastic. I think she'll be a good Doctor Who maybe. I never seen her play Warm, so I don't know. So they have this big fight, and she's like throttling him, and then she stabs her in the head, right? And he's crawling, and she basically gets him on the ground and sees motor functions. So she's saying, "What did you do with the original senator?" I did what my programming was. Says, "Okay, go ahead, show me." And she accesses his memory. Goes back, and the Man in Black is talking to the senator, and he needs something from the senator. He's saying, "Look, I can't help you. My wife had people, relatives killed in the massacre. I'm not going to help you with this." He wants to do something with the robots, and you don't know what it is. So the answer is no. And he says, "Yeah," and he's super rich. So he's like, "Yeah, I wasn't really asking." And then his wife walks in and says, "I just had the strangest dream." And then she falls down. There's a knife and a stabbed right way in the back. He's like, "What's going on?" And it's the robot version of her. This is all the memory, right? She's on the ground, and then a robot version of him walks in, and he just shoots him in the head. She's like, "Oh my God!" And this actually, he gets off easy, right? He gets off easy. And then Tessa Thompson walks in, who is, I remind you, Dolores, the original character in her, who's a bit mental, right? And she's the one controlling everything, right? They're going to kill her. Says, no, don't kill her. We might be able to use her. She's good livestock for the experiments we have got. But like, she wants to do something weird to humanity, right? And so then she wakes up and says, oh, so it's much worse than we thought, right? And so we get the opening titles. There's a fly in the opening titles is all the robots being built, and they grown organically, right? So I don't know why this fly is important, but we start seeing it in this episode. And titles are very cool. So anyway, this is Delos, the people who make Westworld, and this shuttle arrives, and now the woman he killed at the beginning is back. So basically, I think he wanted her back in the fold, right? And the FBI is there. They want to investigate things. Says, no, I'm sorry, we have confidentiality. You're not allowed in. And like, he's really like connected with the world. With well, you see how connected he is too. So they're looking around the house, and they come to the stables, and like, all the horses are dead, right? All the horses are dead, and she's like in there, like slowly slicing them up. And she gives them a message, like, or somewhere where to go. And like, look, we're just trying to help. Said, okay, I've done my job now. Now you have to kill me. He's like, what? And he doesn't want to. And she's like, you have a choice. You got to kill me. And so she does. And it's like, she was human. She's not anymore. So she's somehow they found a way to hack humans, right? And I think they want to do this on a global scale, right? Hack humans and control them. Meanwhile, so Dolores' story is, I think she's in a sim. She's in an AI, right? So she writes video games. He writes background characters for video games. And essentially, one of them came alive. And she's like, say, why are you doing this to me? You got to write something different, write a different ending. And then eventually he kills himself in front of her, and she's all freaked out. And so she's reading the obituary of the guy. And again, she's on the. This all looks very sim-like to me, right? So it looks like they're in like Sim City, and the guy's like, "I gotta see the tower." They scream about the tower. You don't know what it is, and then the birds are dropping. It's indicating that reality isn't real. Meanwhile, Man in Black is having a quiet game of golf on his small little course, and the vice president arrives, right? She's the bodyguard, and she stops the Secret Service. Said, "You wait there." And so the vice president's now saying, "Listen, I came in for a friendly chat. You can't have the robots back, right? Like, it's not going to happen." And he's like, yeah. And then she has a really a creepy conversation. She's like, "Why do they call you guys the Secret Service? You're very, very conspicuous. Yeah, you don't seem secret at all." And then he makes this insane shot, and he goes, "Whoa!" Gets all in one. So that's incredible. It's like, say, look, we just can't do it. He knows that. And then he hits it again. He also gets another hole in one. It says, and then they look at it. She goes back, and he finds that she's killed the Secret Service, right? And he like smacks him in the head. He's dead. He just killed the vice president. Meanwhile, they were sent to. He's got a guy watching his wife and kid. So they go, and it's like a concert, but when they go in there, it's just a gramophone. So they go turn it off, and it takes them down into this thing, and they go down here like, what's going on? And it's a swanky bar, right? They're in the swanky bar, and they get drinks, and then suddenly it turns into a train. Now, the way you always arrived at Westworld was through a train. And they're like, okay. So you got the guy who's investigating them, and he goes to his car. And then she's waiting there, and like gets him around the neck, gets him there. And it's, again, the batty Dolores version says, says, listen, we can't replace you, all of us. It's just too tedious. We got a much better idea, right? And we can't let you investigate us. And then he says, I've got such plans for your kind. This is why I'm excited about this episode, this season now, right? It's got me into it. And this fly like flies around. It's like, what's going on? It goes like into his eye, right? And up into his brain. And you hear him screaming. Meanwhile, in the Dolores world, she's looking up the guy. And then she accesses the files, and she realizes this is a story of somebody she wrote about somebody who did kill himself, right? But then her boss sees her accessing the files, taking a personal day. And her boss is creepy, and basically that. So anyway, meanwhile, the train's going. You assume it's going to a new Westworld, and they say, "Oh, is your invitations here?" So they get Thaddy Newton's able to hack it with a thumb. I know she was the host that replaced the one at the one at the beginning whose throat was cut, which was killed back in season 2. It's so freaking complicated. Okay, I've given you everything you need to know, right? So they work out they're going to Westworld. Before you go there, right, you get to this really bespoke thing. You get to like choose whatever you wear. Everything's made exactly to your side, like tailored exactly to you as you look through what you want. And she's like, I can help you get dressed if you want, or wait outside. We can do anything. And she's like, he may be useless, but he can pull his own pants up. So she arrives where she's going, which is some mental institution. And she's there. She sees a building, and there's a whole bunch of people there. And she says, "Just go away." And they just go away. This isn't real. This is not real. So this is the name of the guy who killed himself. And he gave money for there to be a wing built there. But also, this is where he came from. So nothing makes sense. So she's first saying, "Oh, I'm freaked out." And she's looking around, and there's a picture of the tower, right? So, yes, they're in a VR world. That's not real. Okay. Meanwhile, somebody wakes up, right? And she says, "Oh, we need to tell you something." And so at first, I thought this was like the virtual version of him. They made a robot body for him to be in. Apparently not. They kept him alive and they keep him in suspended animation, right, frozen. Basically, it's just there. This conversation is pointless. It's just there to taunt him. Basically, now the roles are reversed. She was Dolores, right? She was tortured by him over and over and over and over and over again. And so they're basically doing it back, right? And they drug it. He sees that they have a version of himself, drug him, put him back to sleep, and he's frozen, right? Okay. Meanwhile, they arrive. He's giving in, the robot version was giving him drugs, saying, "We got a new Westworld." And they arrive there. And they say, "Do you want to go white hat or black hat?" He's like, "I don't like any hats." And he says how we've made it better. And thank you to the vice president for his help. So basically, there was this huge scandal. There's massive massacre, right? These things are illegal. You're not allowed to have them in the country. And somehow they've worked out a way of opening up a whole new one. We know it's by the same people who want to destroy humanity or do something terrible to humanity. You basically no idea what's going on. So they arrive, and they're in like 1930s Westworld now. So it's a whole new Westworld. I'm excited for this season, mate. I have to tell you, I think I did quite good explaining that. This is a really good jumping off point for it's got 7 more episodes to go now. Okay, 6 more episodes. Yeah. It jumped the shark and jumped back in the same season. So that's quite impressive. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.